I call the meeting for March 10th, 2026 to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Mendez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garnica.
Present.
Councilmember Brogy.
Here.
Councilmember Villasenor.
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Here. Mayor Pro Tem Garnica, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Oh, we did roll call, sorry. Number 4, approval of the agenda.
So moved. I'll
We
second.
have a motion and second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And moving on to number 5, presentations. And tonight we have a proclamation honoring Women's History Month. Proclaiming March as Women's History Month, March 2026. Whereas the month of March is recognized nationally as Women's History Month, a time to celebrate and honor the vital contributions of women to our nation's history, culture, governance, economy, community, life, and whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic and lasting contributions to the growth and strength of our country, the state of California, and the city of Fillmore. And whereas women have played and continue to play critical roles in advancing civil rights, public service, education, healthcare, business, public safety, science, the arts, and countless other fields, and shape our community and improve quality of life for all residents. And whereas women leaders, entrepreneurs, educators, mothers, caregivers, and volunteers in Fillmore have helped build a resilient, compassionate, and thriving community rooted in service, opportunity, and civic pride. And whereas recognizing Women's History Month provides an opportunity to reflect on the progress made toward equality, to acknowledge ongoing challenges, and to recommit ourselves to ensuring that women and girls have access to opportunities, leadership roles, and equitable participation in all aspects of civic life. And whereas it is fitting and proper that the city of Fillmore join communities throughout the nation in celebrating Women's History Month and honoring the countless women whose dedication and perseverance continue to shape our shared future. Now therefore, I, Albert Mendez, Mayor of City of Fillmore, do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Women's History Month in the City of Fillmore. Be it further resolved that the City of Fillmore encourages residents, schools, businesses, and community organizations to recognize and celebrate the achievements of women in our community and throughout history, and to support efforts and promote equality, leadership, and opportunity for women and girls.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, public comments. Do we have any members of the public that are here to speak on items not on the agenda? No? Okay. Moving on to item number 7, city council reports, recommendations, comments, committee, commission, and board reports.
Just a couple of items for me. So I attended the Fillmore Piru Basin Groundwater Sustainability Agency meeting on the 20, let me see, what day was that? That was Thursday the 26th. Not much to report. The United Water Conservation District is going forward. Looks like they're trying to figure out which way to pay for some of the improvements that are required to the Piru or Santa Felicia Dam spillway. It's going to be quite an expensive endeavor, but they're looking at different ways to do that. And they're also looking at an increase in the rates per acre foot. So those are the two main takeaways from that meeting. And then I also attended the Little League and T-ball opening ceremonies. That was last Friday. That was a lot of fun. I hadn't been to one probably in 30 plus years, and it was a lot of fun. The better part, though, was watching my grandson's first T-ball game when one of his teammates hit the ball and then ran after the ball to go get it, while the opposing team also tried to get it. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch the kids doing that. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I do. So our Ventura Regional Sanitation District meeting, our first one of the month of March, was canceled, so I'll have more of an update at our next meeting. But just a couple of events that are coming up. March 18th is actually a pretty busy day on my calendar. We will be having the groundbreaking for, I think all of our council members are invited, and mayor and others here in the city, for the Creekside development up in North Fillmore. That's in the morning. In the afternoon, I'll be participating in the Southern California Edison Government Advisory Panel / Community Advisory Panel, and it's my first one of the year, so I look forward to that meeting, hearing updates from Edison. Particularly, I think we're going to have a record weekend of heat this weekend. It's going to be in the 90s, I think, and we had some 90-degree temperatures in February. So that's all to say that these really warm days can happen any time of the year. So we could face high levels of heat and potential shutoffs. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the updates. So I'll provide that back as well. And then later on the 18th in the evening, I'll be attending, and all are welcome, the community to it's the Economic Development Board of Ventura County, in conjunction with the Fillmore Adult Schools, having their second annual Job and Resource Expo. And this is going to take place again Wednesday, March 18th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Fillmore Middle School, 543 A Street. And there'll be professional resume assistance, virtual reality career exploration, free professional photos, which I think is really wonderful, so people can have that. Tuition assistance, information about tuition assistance, maybe on some vocational programs, and also just more information about community assistance programs. So there's a flyer. I'll be sure to share that with the city, and hopefully we can help to promote this. But it is Wednesday, March 18th, 5 p.m. at the middle school, a job resource fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I attended a VCTC, Ventura County Transportation Commission meeting on Friday, and we spent the majority of our 3 hours listening to a gentleman, a representative from the National Committee for the, I almost said 84, the 28 Olympics. For those of you who aren't aware, there's a website it's titled LA 28. And it's the official website for the upcoming Olympics. And I hadn't put a whole lot of thought into it. I know it's in LA. But after hearing this gentleman speak, it occurred to me that communities on outlying areas, such as our community here in Fillmore, we need to be prepared for this, because some of the stats that this gentleman from LA 28 shared with us, for example, he said this is the largest Olympics that they've ever held, ever in history. He also said that this, based on the number, there's more events than any other Olympics, and they're expecting more people to be in the Southern California region, LA area specifically, than any gathering of human beings ever in history. So the reason Ventura County Transportation Commission is involved in this is because obviously transportation is a huge issue when it comes to this number of visitors coming to the region. But I'm kind of floating along here thinking, okay, well, it's down in LA. And then until I heard this gentleman speaking, and it occurred to me that we need to be prepared. And he pointed out that not everybody that's going to be visiting the area will be attending every event. So in other words, they're going to have a lot of downtime. When they have downtime not attending events, they're going to go to the beach. They're going to go out exploring the area. So I can see taking advantage of this. But what I'm thinking is that, and we don't need to, I think, deal with it right this minute, but I think we need to start thinking about possibly an ad hoc committee or something of that sort that,
If I may just chime in, so we have been attending the economic development staff meetings, and there has been discussions about
Okay.
having a plan, and so we have been behind the scenes advocating to make sure that the initial thought was just to highlight the 101 corridor, and then our staff member was like, wait a minute, there's a different way for you to get to the beach, and it's the 126, so we also need to be on the map. So the discussions are actually happening behind the scenes, and we can start providing you with updates as this continues.
that would make me feel a lot better.
Okay.
So, and it'd be nice if we could like put up a couple of hotels while we're between. So, anyway.
Get the magic wand out.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so that was really, really interesting, and I've never been I like the sports, but I've never tuned into Olympics on a fanatical basis, but I'll be watching this one from a distance. I don't want to get down in the crowd. So anyway, so there was that, and then
Carrie,
also,
quick question on that topic. Did they mention anything about having any events at Casitas?
there are no events being held. The rowing is going to be held at a lake, I'm drawing a blank on it. It's down toward the Long Beach area, the other side of Long Beach. So there will not be any events up here specifically, but that doesn't mean we won't have crowds. So we need to take advantage of that, I think. So be proactive. Okay. And then, let's see, I attended a school district meeting this morning, 2+2 we call it. We get together with two other of the board members, the school board members, as well as the superintendent, and then our city manager participates as well. And we talk about the partnering issues and things that we have in common and how we can assist one another with regard to the use of facilities, just all sorts of things. It was very, very productive, and I think we'll hear more details soon on what are some of the things that will be occurring as a result of that meeting. And then I also have my porch talk on Wednesday this week again, so anybody who is interested in talking about anything Fillmore, please join me on my front porch. And we meet at 6 o'clock, and it's supposed to be 6 to 8, but sometimes we go 6 to 9, sometimes it's 6 to 9:30, but it's all good. So please join us if you would like to come in here or bring up issues regarding Fillmore. So thank you.
Thank you.
No updates for me. The only thing I would like to remind that I am having a mini town hall / meet and greet on March 28th at the Delores State Park from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And so that's an opportunity for me to meet the people from Fillmore, anybody that wants to stop by and say hi. So I am going to be doing a little data walk with that too, just grabbing some information from those who attend. In addition to that, I did invite a few local nonprofits to come and share local resources for those who attend. So hopefully we'll see more of attendance. Thank you.
Thank you. I also, this past week, attended the Fillmore Little League opening ceremonies. It was a great event. Always love to support the youth. I also attended the Fillmore Girls Softball Fast Pitch. Their inaugural season, and it was amazing. Those little girls they're superstars. It was awesome. And also attended, along with Councilmember Brogy, our 2+2 meeting. She covered pretty much. She said it awesome. Not much to report there. I also attended the Air Pollution Control Board. There wasn't much on the agenda, so I don't have much to say about that. I heard that the event at the theater this past weekend was really, really good. Had a lot of positive things to say about that. So thank you, Sean, for putting that on. Okay, and that's all. Oh yeah, Saturday. I saw on social media they were having a cruise night, so I got on my little electric bike and I was on my way to the 126, but I ran into it. They decided to cruise on Central, and it was really, really well attended. I think they had over 100 cars. The people were gathered on with gathered here on the park with their lawn chairs and people taking videos. It was really, really good. I think they plan on another event soon, and I hope people come out to support them. It was really, really good. It brought the community together, and I ran into Councilmember Garnica and his grandson there as well. So it was really good. So that's all I have to report.
May I add one more thing?
Yes.
Sorry to my report. Thank you. Since we were talking about the sports and moving into spring softball and baseball, I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to City of Fillmore, to all the staff on a great youth basketball season. It was every year. I think it's really great, and it feels like there's even more kids who are playing. So, particularly thank you to the staff, to Amanda de Zavala. Thank you, Manuel Minades, and your referee team did a great job. And it's just wonderful to see all the work and all the collaboration, and the parents and kids really enjoying the league. So, thank you. Great season.
I forgot. Also attended the Heritage Valley Blazers had their opening track meet this past Saturday, and my granddaughter participates in track, and it was a great event. I mean, this Saturday there's so many events happening in Fillmore. It was awesome. There's people that I don't know if they were from Fillmore or not. But, I mean, came to Red Engine. Red Engine had an event, so it was awesome. I know they had the farmers market down at the park down here, so it was awesome. We just got to keep spreading that the news, and hopefully we get other people from outside of Fillmore to come in and visit our town and start patronizing our businesses, because we have so much to offer to not just our residents but other people coming from out of town. So thank you. Moving on to number 8, the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion on the consent.
Okay, I got a motion. You got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? A motion passes. Thank you. Moving on now to our regular new business. Item 9A, consideration of off-site improvement agreement and license agreement for public improvements and related to the People's Self-Help Housing Project. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is not my item. I've asked the city engineer if I could give an introduction to this item. For the last 7 years, thank you, Roxanne. For the last 7 years or so, we've heard of a development called People's Self-Help, or Fillmore Terrace, and that's all you know. You don't know anything else about it. It did not get presented to you. You did not review it. It didn't go to the Planning Commission either. I reviewed it. Everything was given to me to review it because we followed a state law, and the developer, called People's Self-Help, followed state law for the Supportive Housing Act, which it basically means as long as you follow the zoning ordinance and as long as you follow the general plan, you can approve a project administratively. It does not require a planning commission or public hearings or city council, ministerial approval only. It's also exempt from CEQA or environmental review. And that's basically it in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it than that. The project is located right across the street from our bus shelter from the senior center. It's one full block. It runs along the length of Palm Street to Highway 126, up the alley, and back to Santa Clara Street. It's about 50 units. 31 of them will be for very low income, 18 for low income. It will include a manager's unit and something called supportive housing. That's a term so that it's a nice way of saying it's for people who are homeless. It's just another name. We're only providing about 45 parking spaces, and I'll explain a little bit of that. And we're merging 5 lots into one lot, and it'll include a tremendous amount of land dedication and diagonal parking along Palm Street, and off-site public improvements and license agreements. That's what you're going to be reviewing tonight. In the supportive housing, or in the application, they ask for something called a density bonus. The density bonus pretty much states the applicant's allowed to go above and beyond your density, and that portion that goes above the density is for affordable housing. In return, the developer can request concessions or a waiver or incentives, those 3 categories. So they first requested a concession. So they try to increase density. That means you're taking more of the land. And the number 1 concession is to reduce the parking ratio. And then there are 3 waivers that we did. There's a requirement in our downtown specific plan and zoning ordinance to provide public or private open space. We reduced that amount. We also, number 2, reduced the garage requirement and design requirement. And number 3, we reduced the common usable area, and we reduced the unit size requirement, and reduced parking. We allowed parking in our setbacks and in the side yard, and we reduced the side yard setbacks. And then we received incentives, which is regarding more parking reductions and uncovered parking. So we had to do all those things to increase the density, to realize the density of 50 units per acre. Our standards were too strict to recognize that density. I wanted to show you the general layout. After describing all the things that we removed, it sounds like it's so congested and it's so tight that no codes were followed, but that's not true. We broke the buildings into 5 separate buildings, A, B, C, and D, and E and F. And they're no longer, at one time they were proposed 3 stories, they're 2 stories, and they're separate buildings. We still have common open space. And we still have parking along Highway 126. To accommodate more parking, we approved diagonal parking along Palm Street. So through this process, we're increasing the width of the alley, I think 4 or 5 feet. We're increasing the width of Santa Clara Street. If you drive down Santa Clara Street, sometimes it's a little too tight. We're receiving about 13 feet to widen Santa Clara Street. We're widening Palm Street and increasing with diagonal parking, so it's very tight parking right now. It's all public parking, and even the diagonal parking will be public parking. And then along Highway 126, we're anticipating that one day the highway will be widened with 1 lane in each direction. I just wanted to give that. That's already been stated. That's your presentation. Anyway, that's the background. I wanted to give you that background. It's called Fillmore Terrace. I did approve it. Oh, there's the elevation. Thank you. My review was very rigorous. I was very, very strict. I know the applicant wasn't happy with it, but every single affordable project we've done here in the city of Fillmore has been a major, major success. This one will be too, if they get enough funding to build the project, and we're proud of it, and the applicant is too. That concludes my presentation. I know the applicant's in the audience, and then the city engineer would like to give the presentation. Yes?
Just for clarification, so People Self-Help came to us several years ago with that property in mind, wanting to build the low-income housing. And it was, if I recall correctly, and I don't remember if I was on council or on planning at the time.
Planning. Yes, we presented it to you. So at that time, they did not want to follow the zoning ordinance, and they did not want to follow the general plan, and we presented the project to you. And at that time, it was a 3-story building.
Right.
For the whole block. It was one big block building, the entire block, 3 stories. And city staff had a very difficult time reviewing it. We weren't in favor of it. We presented it to the planning commission, and you replicated the exact same comments staff did. Well, People Self-Help heard that. They threw that entire project away. They hired new engineers, new planners, new architects, submitted a brand new application.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know initially with that, like it looked like a prison, I think.
It did. It was difficult. It looked like an affordable project, you know, the tenement housing from, like, let's say the East Coast, whatever. It looked like that. This project that we approved does not look like that at all.
This looks great. I really like this.
Yeah.
Quite an improvement. So thank you for all your
Yeah,
hard work
hopefully
on
it'll
that.
be like the mini mansion
Right.
project that we had.
Right.
It'll hopefully get the same rave reviews.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before, do we have any public speakers? Any public speakers?
Thanks, Kevin. And yeah, I'm your city engineer, Roxanne, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. I'm really glad that Kevin was able to present this project to you, catch you up to speed on where it's gone, because it did go right through planning department under Kevin's discretion, which we're in safe hands with Kevin. So thank you, Kevin. Good job. And the business tonight is we've gotten to where we've reviewed all the improvement plans, identified the costs of the improvements, and created the offsite improvement agreement. An offsite improvement agreement basically is an agreement between the developer and the city that says, hey, you're going to build a bunch of public improvements and then turn them over to the city. And if for any reason, once you start building, you go away, the city has bonds that we can finish the construction of the sidewalks and curbs and gutters, so we don't get left with the city that's like half constructed, right? So the offsite improvement agreement is in your council packet in entirety, along with the full conditions of approval on the project that are referenced from the improvement agreement. But a quick list of what's being bonded for is it's over $800,000 worth of public improvements that People Self-Help will be building for the city of Fillmore as a part of this development. I've broken it down kind of frontage by frontage. So like on Santa Clara Street, they are giving a 13-foot irrevocable offer of right-of-way dedication on Santa Clara Street. You'll see in the next picture that we're not going to completely widen that whole block, because you can't be like driving down a narrow street and then have a wide street and then a narrow street again, because it's just one block. But what we did do is we've popped out and we have parallel parking in between curb extensions, so we can use out of the main. We do widen Santa Clara in the frontage, but we do it with curb extensions, which I'll show you a picture of. So it worked out really elegant solution, and we have the 13-foot right-of-way dedication on that side. And then it's curb, gutter, sidewalk, street lights, that parallel parking. There's tree wells in the sidewalks with trees. They're building new public fire hydrants on Santa Clara Street, and ADA ramps. Palm Street, similar. We've got new curb, gutter, sidewalk. There's tree planters and trees in the diagonal parking. They have those diamonds, and there's trees every other diamond. And they're doing a new sewer manhole and sewer wise, because all their sewer lines connect in Palm Street. Their main site driveway is off of Palm Street. They're also doing streetlights and ADA ramps on Palm Street. And the alley on the other side, they will be widening the alley. The existing alley is only 16 feet. A lot of our alleys are narrow like that. All along the project frontage, they're dedicating 4 feet and making a 20-foot wide alley. And then towards the north end by Santa Clara, there's another property that's not them, so we'll go back down to 16 feet. But for now, until that property develops, but we will have a nice widened alley, and they'll be overlaying the entire alley up to Santa Clara Street, so it'll be brand new pavement. And they're also doing a lot of overhead utility work. There's a ton of overhead wires on Palm Street, and so they'll be taking them off the poles, undergrounding them, in some cases relocating them to the other side of the street, because there's so many things that can't be down that aren't on their frontage that they couldn't do anything about. They worked with Edison to get as much underground as we could. So all along the property frontage, there will be no overheads, but some of it's moving to the other side of the street, the east side of the street in the alley. And then on Ventura Street, they're going to do curb, gutter, sidewalk, ADA ramps, landscaping, and trees. And there's a new parkway drain that drains their parking lot that's on that side of the use. So I have a picture, kind of like Kevin did, just to give you a visual of everything we talked about. If you look at Santa Clara Street, you can see the curb extensions, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 parking spots. So if you park on that side, you pull out of Santa Clara and park, which the fire chief was super happy about, because there's parking on both sides and it gets pretty tight. So that'll be a lovely use, and there's like tree wells along there to look really nice. And then you see all the diagonal parking along Palm Street. And then their main parking lot, which is an open, not covered parking on the Highway 126 end. There will be new sidewalk all along. There's existing sidewalk out there. They're going to be replacing all that sidewalk and putting in new curb ramps. And in the alley, you can see that 4-foot widening of new pavement that then goes back to 16 when you get to the other parcel that's not a part of the project. So that's the offsite improvement agreement. They'll be giving us $810,000 in secured bonds to build all of that stuff. And that's what that agreement's about. And then there's also a license agreement in your packet. And the license agreement is a document that basically is between the developer and the city that secures that they can put their private improvements in our public right-of-way and then ongoingly maintain them. So it puts the rules and responsibilities surrounding. They're going to give us a 14-foot dedication for road right-of-way on the highway side so that if and when Caltrans ever widens the highway, we can get to that 100-foot Caltrans right-of-way. In the meantime, we're going to allow them to landscape it and then maintain the private landscaping. And so the license agreement gives them the permission and the responsibility to maintain that landscaping in right-of-way that they dedicated to us. And so this is the exhibit that's also with the license agreement in your council packet. And that really concludes my presentation, and I'm open to any questions.
Questions?
Just a comment. I think it looks great. I think it's a great project, and certainly better than what was described before. And so I would be happy if it looks like what the ground view was. I think it's going to look beautiful.
I would add, for all of those right-of-way dedications, we have in a municipal code that the city manager can accept dedications of street right-of-way. And so as all those documents come to fruition and are ready for acceptance, Erica will be doing that.
Just a question, comment first and a question. It did look like there was a good number of spaces on Palm for parking. I was wondering if you had a total number. I was trying to add them up with my fingers.
There's 45 total with the whole project.
45, okay. The whole
Including
project.
their on-street parking in Palm Street and Santa Clara, right, Kevin? You
Okay.
counted the off-street ones?
Okay.
That was
Just
what was
wondering.
in the first
Yeah.
slide, but a lot of them are on Palm Street.
Yeah.
But they're not specific to the use, they're public parking.
Okay, got it. Great. Thank you.
We had information from People Self-Help a long time ago when this was first brought to us, the original version of it, about the way the residents, the security that was going to be there, that I thought once People Self-Help was going to provide some sense of security. And when we discussed it a while back, the concern is taxing, bringing in homeless population into this location, and then possibly taxing the hours of our law enforcement here in Fillmore. And at one point in time, there was, on People's Self-Help, if I recall correctly, they had plans to have someone on site. And I've asked this question a couple different times, and I don't know where do we stand on that? I mean, that's my biggest concern.
We made that a condition of approval,
Okay.
and the developer agreed to it. So they'll have people on site managing as best they can, and they're qualified to.
Okay, and do we have a total number of hours they're going to be there?
I do. I
24/7
need to
or-
reread the condition. I'll forward it to you,
Okay.
to all of you.
Okay.
But the applicant's here too, perhaps they can just answer
If
the
they remember.
question.
Oh, good.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tanner Shelton with Sandbell. We're honored to serve as the planning consultants on this project. Councilmember Brogy, to answer your question, as Kevin was saying, there will be an on-site staff person there, a property manager, as well as caseworkers who will be monitoring the project site. We also were conditioned by the city to submit what is called, I'm going to forget the exact name, but effectively a security plan that has to be reviewed and approved by the city's police department prior to certificate of occupancy on the project. So there will be a comprehensive security system on the property as well. That's not just human bodies. There will also be security cameras and things of that nature, alarm systems and the like to secure the facility. And then the internal courtyard will also be secured as well from the public. So we've worked extensively with planning staff, the police department, and the city engineers to work through those concerns, and we're happy with the result. Thank you.
Actually, Mayor, if I may, and Tanner, I may have another question for you and Etika, and it is concerning about the topic we're on right now. And that is that this is a family affordable housing project, and being so, that does limit certain individuals from being able to live in this affordable housing. So I wondered if either one of you could speak to that.
Yeah, I'll invite Daisy up from People's Self-Help Housing to talk a little bit about kind of what their envisioned target population is, but we have a variety of bedroom sizes, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms across the project. So we're targeting a broad range of folks, and families are certainly a part of that dynamic. So Daisy, I don't know if you have anything to to add about specifically target populations or anything of that nature, but yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hi, council members. Yeah, I mean, I think we have 50 units on site. Most of the units are set aside for families. It's only 13 units that are set aside for permanent supportive housing. But as Tanner mentioned, we do have case managers and supportive services staff on site, and we do have a property manager that's on site, that lives on site as well. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know if you had any other.
Yeah, just for Councilmember Broggie, I believe that I'm in the right about this, is that in affordable housing projects that include family, there are restrictive to individuals that, something.
So I think your question is pertaining that if someone has some sort of a record or like a rap sheet,
I
that they
believe
wouldn't
so.
qualify to be part of this project because there's families.
Yeah.
So yes, you're on the right
Okay,
track.
I didn't know exactly what it was, but I
And
know there's
we
something
have
there.
had those discussions with them, when we were looking at the funding mechanisms and like the tiers to get your points for your funding. And so that's something that has been taken under consideration. Manuel and I have been closely working with transition of the shelter. And I think if it does come into fruition, there will be the ability to house those individuals that may potentially have rap sheet into a men's shelter only. So there's different avenues to make sure that we're meeting our on-house population needs.
Great, thank you for that clarification. I
You're
just think it was
welcome.
important to the conversation that we know that there are restrictions here at the affordable housing.
Well, and if I could just clarify, unhoused people isn't the only definition of supportive housing. Other types of people that have housing insecurity go there. So it's a variety of people and families.
Yeah, I mean, it could be somebody with like a developmental
Mental disability.
disability. That's somebody else that might go into the permanent supportive housing unit. At risk could also go into the permanent supportive housing unit. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that somebody is directly homeless. It could be somebody who's at risk of homelessness or,
Right, like someone who just aged out of the foster system.
Exactly.
There are a lot of different people who fall in that category of supportive housing.
Okay, thank you.
Just so I'm clear, though, we're not talking about that anybody going into the self-help building would be a family. There will be singles, there will be maybe 2 in 1 apartment, but not solely restricted to family units.
So only the 13 units will be for permanent supportive housing. The rest of the units are for families, but really it's based on the occupancy level for each individual unit. So, yeah. That answers the question.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Thanks for being here, guys. Okay, any other questions?
I just want to thank staff on all their hard work. I mean, when it first came, I was on the planning commission, and it totally evolved into the project that we have here. And it's all the hard work you guys did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Teamwork.
Okay, nothing else? No other speakers on this? No? Okay, can I get a motion?
Okay, I'll move that the city council authorize the city manager or designee to execute the off-site improvement agreement and accept the performance and payment bonds for required public improvements fronting the subject project, and authorize the city manager or designee to execute a license agreement for the use of the city right-of-way along Ventura Street, State Route 126, for additional landscaping and miscellaneous features to be owned and maintained by People's Self-Help Housing.
Okay, we got a motion, a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9B, fiscal year 2025-2026 mid-year financial report. Deborah?
Hello. So good evening, council members, Mayor Mendez. I'm Deborah Cavallotto, Finance Director. Item 9B has staff recommending to City Council to receive the mid-year financial report and approve the proposed mid-year budget adjustments. For tonight's presentation, I'll be discussing the general fund, special revenue, and deferred capital projects. And Amber Tabay, our accounting supervisor, will be talking about the capital improvements requests. For the general fund, as discussed in the staff report, the request for additional general fund appropriations include approximately $100,000 in transfers to other projects, which will be discussed in this presentation, and approximately $57,000 to general fund operations. For general fund operations, this includes a new work truck to replace a 2003 aging truck, and a projected increase in park management costs and contract services for developer trust account review and financial department support. In the case of the bike path maintenance fund, we are planning to complete the City Hall handicap parking. This has been in the works since 2000, I believe, 13, 14. And that includes approximately $68,876. Appropriation requested from the bike path of $57,876, with the remaining $11,000 coming from the aforementioned recommended transfer from the general fund. 50% of the project is being funded by the Transportation Development Act local transportation funds, or called Article 3. A budget adjustment of $49,125 is requested from the general fund transfer, as mentioned above, as costs are projected to be over budget. These include costs in utility costs, various program costs, and a reallocation of a liability insurance expense of $19,000, which was not part of the original budget. Recreation makes up various services in the area, which include grant program fees and the general fund that support it. These services include the senior nutrition program, the active adult center, and youth basketball. Capital projects are budgeted annually and throughout the year. Of the 2026 budget, capital projects that are being deferred to future fiscal years are the Sespe Creek Bike Path, the Central Avenue Storm Drain 1st to 3rd, and a portion of the water line project. Of the projects that were submitted during this mid-year projection review, for consideration, the Storm Drain Country Court and Stadium Way projects have been deferred, as well as the Orchard Streetlight and the city's portion of the Fillmore neon sign. That means the city goes and does the trenching, and Edison comes in for that project. They have been deferred either for next fiscal year or may be coming coming available at later city council meetings. Consideration includes the timing of right now the fiscal year. Of course, we're already in March, and can the project be completed, as well as being the cost of the project. It may be so high that we want to come to city council to discuss more of the project, and being considered shovel ready. So now I'm going to be turning over the presentation to Ambry.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I am Amber Tibe. I'm the Accounting Supervisor, and I'm here to present the mid-year budget adjustment request for the capital improvement funds. First is the Street Improvement Fund 467. Staff recommends a budget adjustment of $35,000 from the general fund. And this request is for the driveway repair and resurfacing project totaling $25,000, and installation of a street light, which cost estimate of $10,000. Both of these projects are ready to proceed in the coming months and will maintain the city's safety standards. Next one is the Public Buildings Improvements Fund 490. Staff recommends a budget adjustment of $5,455 from the general fund, and the reallocation of Fund 490, which funds from the Sespe Creek Bike Path that Deborah mentioned, which is $44,545, which has been deferred to next fiscal year, and remaining savings from the storefront roof project of $15,000. Additional funds from the general fund are being requested for the perimeter improvements at the Public Works Yard and Active Adult Center, totaling $45,000, and the upgrade of City Hall's fire alarm system, which is $20,000. The Public Works Yard perimeter project will address traffic flow to provide a more secure environment during hazardous waste day events at the location. So the 5,455 is the net of the transfer and the request. The next one is Sewer Capital Fund 463. Staff recommends a budget adjustment of 95,000 from Sewer Replacement Reserve Fund 503. Staff is requesting additional funds from the Sewer Capital Replacement Reserve Fund for 3 projects needed at the wastewater treatment plant. These projects are to upgrade plant security, 25,000, repair and replace the sludge conveyor which manages the byproducts of the treatment process, 30,000, and replacement of the UV bank in Area B, which disinfects to remove harmful pathogens and contaminants, and that's 40,000. The project maintains efficiency and operational standards and safety. The next portion of my presentation is to provide an update to the remaining capital improvement projects carryover from prior year. The 2 capital improvement funds, Fund 464, which is the park improvement, and Fund 453, water capital improvement funds, have expenses relating to prior year City Council approved projects which were not able to finish in fiscal year 25. The remaining expenses of these projects, the AMI, or the Advanced Metering Infrastructure Project in Fund 453, and the 2 reverse lighting and landscaping project in Fund 464 continued in fiscal year 26. Approved funding committed to the projects remain to cover these expenses. These funds will be reestablished into the adjusted budget for this fiscal year 2026. Approval of the recommended budget adjustments to fund unbudgeted expenses or negative fund balances is needed to meet this city's operational activities. As also explained, sufficient funding exists to accommodate these transfers. That concludes my presentation, and I'm here to answer your questions.
Questions? Do we have any other speakers on this? Any from the public? No?
Oh, sorry, Mayor. I didn't have a question, but just sort of a comment and a reassurance that, that these mid-year budget adjustments are really needed. I think it's said well when under fiscal impact in the staff report that this is needed to meet the city's operational activities, and I think that's just the word operational is very key. And that we need to move things around a little bit and transfer some things in from the general fund and defer because we need to meet the city's basic operational needs this fiscal year. So just sort of to put that out there, understand it, and thank you for the presentation and really laying out why these are needs and where the money's coming from, what's what is being deferred. So it's very clear. So thank you, Ambry.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
We work closely with the Public Works Director and the City Manager, and we prioritize prioritize the projects and push the projects for next fiscal year if it's not a priority.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make a general comment. Thank you for all the work that the Finance Department has put into this. At a different level, I think it would be good for the City Council to have a special meetings, public meetings regarding budgets and training. Not to get into, obviously this is a lot of individual line items that need to be taken care of immediately, but I think just overall educating the public as well as the City Council on, for example, we say that we've got 6 goals, 5 goals. Okay, so how does the City Council's goals line up with the actual expenditures that are seen in the budget? I think, we could probably use AI to help us answer that question, but I think it'd be good for staff to help educate us and the public regarding the budget. Because even though, like I said, I'm not questioning any of these transfers specifically, but I think at a higher level, I think it'd be very good to do that. And I've asked to see if maybe we could do that, not for this next, budget year, but maybe moving forward, if we could plan for that, I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, just to comment on that, John, I'm in agreement with you, and I think that a suggestion to come out of this is, we're planning on having a very general Budget 101 introductory education for the community, but also for council members, right? And I think kind of talking about the budget process and how we begin, and mid-year we do these adjustments, why we do the adjustments, why it's important, how it aligns with the goals of the city, is definitely should be included in that. So that's my suggestion. Thank you for that, bringing that up.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? May I have a motion?
I'd like to move motion. For the fiscal year of 2025-2026, mid-year financial report for fiscal year 25-26, and approval of the mid-year budget adjustment.
Okay, we got a motion, second? Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 9C, consideration of zoning ordinance amendment 25-03, ordinance 26-992, removing the 1/3 retail requirement from the Central Business District Core and adoption of exemption from CEQA.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Jacob Choker. I'm a planning technician with the Community Development Department, and I've been working on the zoning ordinance amendment. All right, just to provide you a little bit of background on the Central Business District, downtown Fillmore is the historical and cultural heart of the city from the very beginning, beginning in 1888 when the city was plotted by the Southern Pacific Railroad. The original businesses were actually on Main Street, but a fire in the early 20th century destroyed those businesses, and they decided to rebuild on Central Avenue. The downtown specific plan was adopted in 1994, and that has guided development and redevelopment in the area since then, most crucially in the wake of the 1994 Northridge earthquake. A variety of businesses are present in the downtown specific plan area or Central Business District. I'll detail that later in my presentation as to how that actually breaks down. We also have our tourist and culture-oriented businesses, including the Town Theater, the winery, and 2 museums. A little bit of history on the 1/3 retail requirement. This was added in the 1994 zoning ordinance to support the goals of the downtown specific plan. This requirement was reviewed by the City Council in 2010, 2012, 2017, and 2022, and then last year in 2025 when the City Council directed planning staff to begin the process of removal of the 1/3 retail requirement. However, before 2025, the City Council opted to retain the requirement each time it was reviewed. The Planning Commission met twice and conducted 2 public hearings in January and February. They have recommended removal of the 1/3 retail requirement. However, they also had recommendations for the council to continue implementing the downtown strategic plan from retail strategies, create incentive programs for retail businesses in the area, and retain the existing design standards that you find in the zoning ordinance and the downtown specific plan. As far as this is a breakdown of the land uses downtown. Retail is that biggest chunk at 20%. This is various types of retail, grocery stores, antique stores, convenience stores, and then the next largest use downtown is vacant retail space. This is space that it's built and it's ready to go in. There's no tenant there. Barbershops and salons are the next most common use downtown. It's pretty self-explanatory. The miscellaneous uses category is one, it's kind of a catch-all. I've got red tagged buildings in that category, as well as the Town Theater, a pet groomer, and an event venue. So it's a catch-all for those uses. After that, we have public facilities. Public facilities includes parking lots, the police station, and the active adult center, and the post office. And as you can see with the pie chart, after retail and vacancies, it's all pretty much evenly distributed as far as the uses go. You have medical offices, restaurants, gyms, and then different auto-related uses, so auto dealerships and things like body shops, auto repair. As part of the Planning Commission, wanted planning staff to take a look at what neighboring cities do in their downtown. Planning staff, we looked at Old Town Newhall in Santa Clarita and the High Street area in Moore Park. When looking at Santa Clarita, the city adopted a specific plan there as well in 2005 to guide the redevelopment and revitalization of their historic downtown. The city, they implemented similar programs to the city of Fillmore and the city of Moore Park to push that revitalization and redevelopment. They used RDA loans back when the redevelopment agency was still around, and they also invested in street improvements and storefront grants to various businesses. I actually walked downtown Newhall. I'm a resident of Newhall. I walked there to see what kind of businesses are there, breweries, restaurants. They have a theater and the public library downtown as well, in addition to professional offices, barbershops, and different type of retail such as liquor stores and general stores. The High Street in Moore Park, a similar story. They have a specific plan for their downtown that was adopted in 1998. Their downtown is the area around High Street, also a historic downtown. One of the reasons I chose Newhall and Moore Park is because their downtowns has a similar trajectory to Fillmore's downtown, where they were the center of commercial life in the city up until the mid-20th century when suburbanization and the automobile dominated American life. So they experienced a decline there. And each city looked at this decline and responded pretty much in the same way with grants, a specific plan, and then public investment into the area. High Street's also home to a variety of businesses. The city's also made a concerted effort to locate public facilities in the High Street area. I believe they're constructing a new public library downtown, and I think they have plans to also eventually relocate their city hall downtown as well. What we're asking the council to do tonight is strike the following from the Fillmore Municipal Code. It's pretty much the requirement for that front 1/3 to be retail. That's the only change that is being proposed. We're not proposing changing any design standards or any other sections of the zoning ordinance. It's just this language that's being struck from the municipal code. Staff is recommending that City Council open the public hearing, receive public testimony, and approve the first reading of ordinance number 26992, removing the 1/3 retail requirement from the Central Business District core. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Jacob. Questions for Jacob?
So my main question is, what do we think is going to happen, or what is the purpose of removing the 1/3 retail? Because, I mean, looking at the history, and I read through it all in the council packet, obviously it's been looked at many, many times, and we've chosen to keep it every time before this. So, okay, so number one, what do we think it's, by removing, what do we hope to gain? And the second part of the question is, what do we think is different this time than those previous, I believe it was 5 times that we looked at it?
Yeah, as far as what we hope to gain, probably flexibility for the property owners downtown to be able to find tenants who are not retailers. I know retail it's a difficult business model. As you know, it's with the advent of Amazon and online shopping, it's hard to maintain a brick and mortar retail establishment. As far as what's changed, I have to say nothing much has changed since the previous times that we've looked at it. Yeah, I think, yeah, not much has changed since then.
So just to summarize, basically what we're looking at is we're hoping that we get higher or lower vacancy rates. And that's really what's prompting this. And I mean, I guess kind of reading between the lines, am I kind of reading between the lines and thinking that, well, we didn't look at it previously, or we didn't make the change previously, but we didn't get the results we wanted. So are we thinking, well, you know, we didn't do it before and we didn't get the results we wanted, we're still in the same situation, so hopefully by removing this, we'll see a change? Is that kind of the thinking?
Yeah, addressing the vacancy rate is I think the biggest issue that we're hoping to address by removing the 1/3 retail requirement.
Okay, right, thank you.
Yeah, and on that same line of discussion, and I actually was the one who raised this at a council meeting. I said, can we look at this? Can we reevaluate this? Because, and that was my thinking exactly, is I've seen over the years, you know, the 1/3 retail, and if someone is interested in starting a business but they don't have any retail, then I think that's one reason we have more empty storefronts. So we're kind of fighting with, okay, turning Fillmore into the touristy type, you know, like Newhall type attraction, which would be my goal. I would love to see that. But is it worth having the vacancy level that we have? And I do believe there are people that come in and say, well, you know, I'm not going to sell retail, so I'm not going to, you know, even consider renting or putting my business in here. But that was my line of thinking when I raised the whole issue. And I don't see over the years the 1/3 retail helping, you know, meeting the goal that we had originally hoped for in implementing that code section. So, yeah, it just made sense to me. And 2 other council members must have agreed with me since it's on the agenda.
We do have 2 public speakers, so let's hear from them first.
Okay.
No, just discussion, I guess.
But any questions for?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. I have Eric Swinson, I have Sean McCullough.
Eric wants me to go first. Eric wants the last word. Hi, so for the people who are viewing and may watch this later, I'm Sean. I own the Fillmore Town Theater. Most of you guys already know that. One of the reasons why I wanted to rescind the 1/3 retail is I had a business going into one of the buildings that the theater owns, and it's only 460 square feet by the blueprint. The actual usable area is about 300 square feet, and to turn that into 1/3 retail, this is a real estate and notary office, would be impossible. She basically could not do business. Now there's even more fire for the argument against the 1/3 retail because I've talked to 2 business owners. I got to know all the business owners because of the Downtown Rehab Grant Program. Most of you know about that. Mm-hmm. 2 of them very recently have said, if the 1/3 retail stays, we're not going to put in a business. These businesses are not real estate agents, or nothing wrong with that, or tax accountants, nothing wrong with that either. These are, they're service organizations, but they're service for the public. One of them is entertainment for kids. The other one, you know, is a business I think you guys are aware of, coming in from Goleta, that is, you know, therapeutic massage and things like that. You're not going to be able to put a real estate agent in Patterson's, which is our most recent vacant building. You know, they're not going to go into Robert Dedlow's empty building, into the larger buildings. Maybe some of the smaller buildings, sure. I don't want to see Central covered, you know, in those kinds of businesses. I want to see Central covered in experiential retail. Retail, like Jacob said, is a very tough business to be in. One suggestion from one of the city planning commissioners was, well, they can just put candy out front to cover, if it's not a retail business. I don't see how that would, you know, actually work. So I don't, like you were saying, we've kept it this long, it didn't work. If you change nothing, nothing is going to actually change. And then I would like to add to Jacob's excellent work there, you talked about a 10% vacancy for the buildings, but there's also an 8% vacancy of unused land. In other words, there's nothing there. In my mind, that's an 18% vacancy. If we want to get stuff coming down in here, and what we've done before hasn't worked, then we do need to change something. And now Eric is going to argue the opposite side.
Thank you, Sean. Eric?
So I wasn't here for the January, February because I was getting a total knee done.
Welcome.
That was a great presentation. Let's see, good evening, Mayor and the council. 1/3 retail rule on Central Avenue. After, as he said, the Northridge quake, Fillmore rebuilt this part of the town, and it was a clear vision, protect the walkable retail district for residents and visitors. Central Avenue was meant to be the place where people would stroll, browse shop, and experience the character of Fillmore. That vision didn't happen by accident, required planning and guardrails. The 1/3 rule was one of those guardrails. However, Central Avenue is already struggling, we know that. We have multiple empty storefronts and fewer retail shops than it once did. But removing this rule will not fix that problem. In fact, it will make it worse. Right now, we have already seen the trend. Out of the roughly 40 business storefronts on Central, a growing number are non-retail businesses, with the 4 real estate offices, a tax repair, 2 gyms, the transit service, dentists, and others. We just picked up a pest control on Central. These businesses may be perfectly legitimate and valuable, but they are not retail destinations. People don't stroll down the street to browse pest patrol or an insurance office. Those businesses often operate by appointment. In other words, they benefit from the foot traffic created by retail businesses without contributing to creating that foot traffic themselves. If we remove the rule entirely, the market will naturally fill those empty spaces with the easiest tenants available, often offices or service uses. And once that shift happens, the retail ecosystem disappears. When the retail disappears, so does the reason for visitors to walk the street. The idea behind this change seems to be that it'll help fill the empty storefronts, but filling a space with anything available is not the same as building a healthy downtown district. Cities across America try to create what we have here, and Fillmore is not short on places for businesses. According to SCE, when they were here the other day, there are 400 businesses across town. There are many other locations where services can operate successfully without replacing retail in the one place it was intentionally designed for it. At the same time, the city's working on something called retail strategies, an effort to strengthen retail in Fillmore. So the question is simple. Why weaken the very policy that protects retail while we're trying to strengthen retail? That sends the wrong signal about our long-term vision. Central Avenue is our front porch. It says who we are, and that's where it's defined. Once it loses retail character, it will be very difficult, if not impossible, to bring that back. This decision deserves careful thought, not a quick fix for vacancies. I urge the council to protect the long-term vision of Central Avenue and reconsider eliminating the 1/3 rule. This is the idea of filling in the shops is just shooting ourselves in the foot. It's a weak fix. I would say go back, sharpen your pencil, and write it so a company that wants to put in like an entertainment space, that can go in. That's not retail, but it would be like a place for kids, or if it's an arcade or things like that. That is technically not retail, but if we add in something like entertainment and you had like event spaces, add that in as opposed to just saying, oh, we're going to have 15 tax accountants or something.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay.
Okay. Discussion?
I like what I heard. Honestly, to me, this is what the city council is supposed to do. We're supposed to openly discuss with an open mind what exactly, is the direction that the city needs to go. And quite honestly, I really want to thank both of you gentlemen for coming up and speaking, because you both articulated very well the different positions. And for me, it gives me a lot to think about. In my mind, I like what Eric said, mainly about, hey, we don't have to be binary and just one or the other. Why can't we modify it so that we allow businesses that will fit into the mold that we want. Because again, to me, there are very few things that the city council has a huge impact on like this does. And I think we need to be very careful about our decision and not just say, well, it's either this or that, what about other ideas? So in my mind, I think we need to go back and relook at this again. I would recommend that we not make a decision tonight, that I think we go back and give it another look at, another look.
I agree with you, John. I was leaning a certain way, but after hearing these two gentlemen talk, they both made excellent points, and I want to thank you, and that's why we encourage public speakers to come, so we can hear what your opinions are, and you both made two very valuable points. So I would be in agreement with Councilmember Garnica that we wait, we hold off, and maybe we could come up with a more better plan of how we're going to tackle this issue.
What do you mean when you say hold off until what? What do you envision occurring? I mean, what's going to change?
Well, I think for me, the main point that Eric made about, hey, why throw out the one-third rule completely? Why can't we modify it to include certain businesses, certain venues like entertainment, for example, that would be a draw? Because, I think this goes back to what do we want the downtown to be? And the one-third retail was not because we want it to be retail, it was because we want it to be a destination.
Right.
So if that's what we want, if the objective is we want downtown to be a destination, then how do we do that in such a manner that will encourage, things have changed since way back in a few decades ago. Maybe entertainment venues are part of what we want to draw people in. Maybe there are other things that we could think of, other types of businesses that we can think of that will draw people into the downtown area so it is a destination, as opposed to just saying, well, retail is the way we're going to do it.
Yeah, and so that once I'm inclined to
Does that
throw.
make sense?
Yeah, I understand it, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I want to throw that question to our city attorney. Do we have the ability then to say, we don't want these types of services, but we will accept other types of entertainment businesses there? I mean, how much leeway do we have on deciding who gets to move in and who doesn't?
Well, the council has some discretion, as long as there's a compelling, a state interest in allowing some and not allowing others.
Okay.
But now would be a good time to be workshopping it, to give staff as much direction as you can on how you'd like us to consider revising it, or if it needs to go back to the planning commission. So not just put a pin in it, but please discuss and provide input. Thank you.
Okay, so then I guess we can open it up to what businesses do we want here then? And I agree 100% with what you're saying. I don't want to see it all turn into, just insurance companies and whatever. I like the idea, of bringing in the entertainment type businesses. So how do we articulate that, and what direction do we give staff?
I guess if you don't mind, Mayor, I'm going to continue and kind of respond to that. I guess my idea would be to give direction to staff to say, hey, what are the types of businesses that will continue to make downtown Fillmore a draw, rather than just say, oh, you know what, we discussed entertainment, so entertainment it is, add that in, right? I think that's getting too granular. I think it'd be better, we have some pretty impressive minds on staff that we can allow them to come back to us and say, hey, these are the types of things we've seen, for example, on High Street, or these are the things we've seen in Newhall or other cities that have successfully drawn people in, and not limit it by our discussion to say it's only got to be A, B, or C. Or I don't know, Tiffany, am I straying a little bit far from the direction, or?
Well, no, that just puts a lot on staff. Because in some cities they might have an amazing ice cream store that brings in a lot of people, but maybe in a small town like Fillmore that wouldn't work. So the more direction you can give us, other than put our creative hats on, the better. That would help us in drafting it.
Can I put one of our speakers on the spot and have him share his survey results.
Erica wants to say something, though.
Yes.
I can see.
After Erica speaks.
I want to make sure Erica gets a chance here.
I just want to remind the council that, like Tiffany stated, it's best if you give us some parameters to work around, because the last thing I want is to spend numerous hours doing research and then we come back and it's not what you would like to see. And then we go on this never-ending loop that we can't really close it. So we brought this forward because back in, was it about a year ago? Councilmember Brogy had asked, we put it on the staff report, it all passed by all of you, and then while I was on maternity leave, staff brought it back again. We went to the public hearing with the Planning Commission, so we have spent quite a few, iterations and staff time, not saying that, the changes that you're telling us to do, I'm not trying to go against the grain, I'm just putting it in perspective. So I would appreciate if you could give us a bit more direct guidance so that we can come back with what you would like to see and do, make sure that we're putting our energy and efforts in the right direction.
Do we want to bring up one of our speakers so he could repeat what he said?
Not during, can I do that? Would you mind?
Can we do that?
Yeah, coming from the chair.
Yes. Eric, can we invite you back up to the podium, please?
Share your survey.
Or Sean.
No, we were the question just came up. I just heard this question about, what would really work? We don't necessarily want all entertainment. Whoever did the survey, both of you did the survey, both stand up there.
So I did 2 surveys through the Facebook community pages. One was formal. The question was, what businesses do you want in the downtown central area? The number 1 answer that came back was a coffee shop. And I've also heard that beyond the survey, people talking about, is there a coffee shop? The next 2, second and third place, were often combined with a coffee shop. It was bookstore and ice cream store. The next one down was non-Mexican food restaurant, which I have a real interest in because as the owner of the theater, I would like a restaurant on Central that is open both before and after the show that people can easily go to. Now, they are going to the Central Station on occasion, depending on the time of the show. I encourage people to go to some of the other restaurants that are on Central. So if you take those top 3, sometimes they were combined with each other. I went ahead and separated them out. I did a second informal survey when I was at the theater running a movie. I walked out front and I took pictures of the buildings that had for lease or for sale signs in them that were around me and got the same kind of responses: coffee shop, bookstore, ice cream, non-Mexican food restaurant. So, go ahead.
The last time you were up here, you mentioned that there was somebody who wanted to move in that had a what store?
So somebody wants to move in that you guys are well aware of, a massage place. They come out of Goleta area. He said if 1/3 retail goes through, probably not, or I don't want to speak for him, but his comment to me was, we might start looking someplace else to set up this other business. The other one had to do with baseball, so it was kids' entertainment, and he actually approached city planning regarding that years ago, I don't know exactly when, and was told about the 1/3 retail. That conversation went back and forth for 3 or 4 minutes, and then he walked out and said, well, I'm not going to do it. I encouraged him. I called him up and I said, I think 1/3 retail might go away. Do you want to restart that interest? And then I gave him the name and number of one of the building owners that I think that particular business would fit in.
Okay. I think it'd be worth it to do some research on other cities and how they've addressed the same thing. Sean and I've talked about this before, like, what about an escape room? That's not 1/3 retail. You wouldn't sell anything in there, but it's a place that people would go and they'd be entertained. What else would we come up with?
I wanted to do in the 340 building, which is the building next to the theater. I had approached the building owner about possibly doing some sort of children's entertainment thing. There's a lot of activities that are projection based. Projection on the floor, projection on the wall, they hit it, they throw a ball at it, they do whatever. They're simple and they're easy to put in. And then there's other things that would fit in a store that size.
Sort of an in-between would be one of these pottery places. There's one in Santa Paula. And, it's not necessarily selling anything, but it's an activity. So there's this sort of gray in between is not, you don't have to sell saying or one third or 100% retail, but you could also entertain people with that sort of component. And I've certainly been in enough tourist towns to see that that's something that they do, at least in one little area. You know, if you're going to Lanai or Solvang or Santa Fe, there's like areas that are dedicated to just that kind of thing. And so they must have codified it on some sort of rule, and I'd be happy to research that kind of thing, so you could use that language and he could add it in.
One thing that was in Jacob's report that I thought was interesting when I read through it is, you know, it did Newhall and did Moore Park. And one of the things that you pointed out, neither one of those did 1/3 retail. And look where they're at today. I'll throw that out there.
Well, I noticed that Moore Park is still very empty right now. I was just there.
It's all brand new.
I was at the creamery, and there's all on empty shops.
but it's all brand new. This is the kind of stuff that goes on at Porch Talk at Carrie's house.
I also noticed that Jacob had a few things in his report, like grants and waiving permits and things like that, which this town is probably not big as Moore Park or Santa Cruz to have that kind of funding to give grants for shops. So
But you guys,
that's kind of pie.
City Council is approving more and more houses, and people are complaining more and more. There's nothing to do in Fillmore. That's why I keep using that phrase, experiential retail. I don't know if that's a real phrase or not. It's just like one of those things that came out of my mouth unfiltered. But anyway, experiential retail, I think, is where it is at. We have plenty of retail that takes care of our basic needs on Central for the community. We have markets, we have these things that help the community. Now let's go that next step. You know, I want Disneyland on Central Avenue, you know. Anyway, there you go.
Main Street.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor, if I may just have Manuel add something, thank you.
Thank you, Erica. I just wanted to mention, and Kevin, Jacob, Cruz, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a comment made where maybe we could do more research. What I'd like to say is from what I know, from the work that Kevin and Jacob did, there was a lot of research that was done to put together this report. A lot of research on not just cities in Ventura County, but cities outside. Newhall was mentioned, but in that research, we couldn't find one other city within the state of all the cities that we researched that actually have a 1/3 retail requirement. I think that's significant. It is, you know, and I think you would be able to say there are downtowns that we like to emulate, and I think it's important to recognize that. Kevin, am I wrong in saying that?
I've always said there's more than one way to skin a cat. So you don't have to have 1/3 retail as the requirement to create an active downtown. We can continue the research and find out what other cities have done. We can scrap the 1/3 retail, replace it with something else, but make it active. But we are asking for you to provide us very specific direction. It sounds like you want to create something really, really active where you're not dominated by offices and passive use, but entertainment is very active.
So Kevin, when you presented, I think it was in August while I was gone, I had given you direction to look at all the other cities in Ventura County, which I believe you did research. I have a vague memory watching it while I was holding my baby. And I want to say that none of the other 10 cities that are in Ventura County have that requirement. Is that correct?
None of the cities in Ventura County, but we also looked at the Central Valley, that they didn't either.
Okay.
No city. We've researched a lot of cities. There isn't any.
And I think that's what we wanted you to confirm.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to bring that to the council's
Yeah,
attention.
I think that's a
Thank
really
you.
good data point, honestly. I mean, because that if I was under the mistaken impression that this was a pretty common thing, that 1/3 retail, we're not the only guys that do that, but apparently we are the only guys that do that. So, okay, so that in that case, that really changes my mind on the policy.
Yeah, I just whispered that too. That hearing that really changed my perspective on hearing this. We're the only city that does it, so.
Great presentation, by the way, and just chime in a little bit. And I feel like this is a great step for us to be more of a business-friendly city. I hear it over and over, and from many different people here in Fillmore, people that are out of Fillmore, that they ended up moving to different cities to start their business because it was so challenging here in Fillmore, whether it's the what we're trying to pass today, or just permits or other things that's going on that's preventing them from starting their business. And so I'm very happy and pleased that all of you are coming together with staff, council's having conversations about what can we do to entertain the people that are coming into the city with Creekside and the new development that we're just talking down the street. And so I think this is a great start. It sounds like it's already been a start, so hopefully we can move down that path and make things easier for those who are trying to entertain us, to provide us with services and products here in the city of Fillmore.
And if we do say we want to eliminate the 1/3 retail, can we add, this is for you, Tiffany, can we add in there, say, businesses that we can exclude? Because this is only for the downtown corridor. Say we don't want like dentist office or more real estate offices, because we already have those here. So those businesses here. Say we don't want X amount of our spaces filled with this many.
Yeah, I mean, for tonight, I would recommend that you consider adopting the ordinance before you to just remove the 1/3 retail, since that's keeping some people out, and then maybe start studying other businesses, because you might be surprised like how much foot traffic there is from a dentist, because you're only there for an hour and then maybe you run other errands. So maybe like some of the businesses, like people who cut hair, like maybe those are good draws for people to walk around and do other things, versus something like an office where someone goes and sits for 10 hours and then leaves and isn't having customers come in. So I think you would not want to just address that tonight, but really look into future evaluation, and maybe that's even something you delegate to the planning commission to work on, and recommend something about the types of businesses that, not only the entertainment ones that will bring people, but other types of businesses that you might not think about, but that bring the foot traffic too.
And if I could pitch in, Mayor, just a couple of comments. I think it's been a really great discussion, and I'm in agreement with I think how we're shifting here on council. And I know, John, you had mentioned, I think you're pointing out that, about the destination, and yeah, like that's important, but like destination for different people, right? So Fillmore, ideally our downtown, if we can have a mixture of destination tourists, right? People coming in to experience Fillmore for a day, for a weekend, and also knowing that they're downtown, just locals, it's a destination for an afternoon of a cool experience or something on the weekend. So I think just keeping that in mind, that, when we speak of the word destination, we're speaking to different populations that have the downtown destination for different reasons. And I think if we could have that diversity of reasons beyond the office, 10 hours, you park your car, there's nothing coming, there's nothing selling, there's nothing coming and going. I think that would be a main limit, but we also just want to be careful not to limit ourselves too much, I think. And then just, again, speaking of sports, and I think there was a mention of Mr. Dudlow's building, the big building. As a sport parent, there was actually a business in Ventura, Red Line Athletics, that kind of provides this inside gym experience, is closing. For what reason? I don't know. They're just not able to keep going, but it's pretty big. It's pretty pricey, and it's hard to get to for folks out here. But I mention it because I'm actually have heard from several different people who would like to do something locally like that here, who would like to open something like that for the 600 plus AYSO, the so many football, so many basketball, everyone. We're such a young town. If you look at our demographics, we're so youth. And that's another thing too, I think, as we maybe move forward and we look at, further limitations or draws or incentives, whatever we wind up doing more policy-wise in this whole realm. Who are our demographics? Who do we want to bring into town, right? But also who's here and what are they looking for? So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have a comment from them. Okay. Yes.
I'd like to say two things regarding this. One is regarding the limitation of businesses. Maybe look at Ojai, who's limited, so there's no corporate businesses on their main street. So that is something that has been done. They're not allowed to have anything that's a major chain. I believe the only exception is the gas stations, which are already grandfathered in. So that's done. AI says 1/3 rule generally refers to a specific type of urban planning or zoning requirement imposed by city governments regarding new developments, particularly high-density areas. This mandate requires that designated percentage, often 30 to 33% of ground floor spaces in new mixed developments, be dedicated to retail or commercial use. So it's not uncommon. Maybe it isn't done in Ventura, but that doesn't make it wrong. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so
I'm ready to make a motion.
you're ready to make a motion? Okay, what's your motion?
That we approve the first reading to introduce ordinance number 26-992, removing the 1/3 retail requirement from the central business district core.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
We need to read the full title of the.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, so we need to open the public hearing and everything, or? No, this was a public hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so,
I can take over, Don, if you'd like me. Okay, so I'm making a motion that we adopt ordinance number 26-992, zoning ordinance amendment 25-03, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fillmore, California, removing the 1/3 retail requirement from section 6.04.0615.3D of the Fillmore Municipal Code.
There a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? And motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, City Manager, verbal report.
Thank you, Mayor. Manuel is.
I just want to thank everybody for their participation, right? Council and speakers, thank you so much. Okay. Sorry, Erica.
No worries. Thank you, Mayor. Manuel is going to provide a quick update on the ERF grant.
Yeah, Mayor, members of the council, our case management staff is back to work, and they've been, visiting the encampment site with the help of the sheriff's homeless liaison unit. They've been able to touch base with, encampment dwellers that they haven't been in touch with before, so they're making some progress there, making sure that they're meeting everyone that's down there. They continue to bring them services and things that they are in need, helping them get connected to a cell phone so they can actually communicate with the different case managers that they have. And they've also, Turning Point has also submitted their billing, so we're starting to draw down on the grant, which I know was a concern of the council. So, we're progressing ahead. Thank you.
question,
Sure.
Manuel. Is there any change to the population in terms of quantity or makeup? Reportable?
The homeless, we did the point-in-time homeless count in January, and I want to say that number was approximately, and Mayor Villasenor, or Councilmember Villasenor, if you recall, I think the number that we ended up with was 13 that we counted that day, but...
I think actually, you know what, I don't want to speak. I think it was a little bit higher. It was in the high teens. I think it was 17 or 18. I think we observed 13. We were able to do surveys. So the physical person was surveyed with us. And then we did 5 observational where the person was there. We saw them and we just observed them and marked them as living in the encampment. So I want to say 17 or 18 total.
At that number, I would say the number is consistent with the count that was given, that was reported back in February of last year. So I think it's staying stable, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good point. The city manager, Erica Herrera, mentions that the numbers that I'm guessing at are unofficial numbers. The homeless count has not been published as of yet.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Manny. Joe's going to provide a brief update on Well 10 and then the completion of the sewer project on C Street. So, handing it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening. So the Well 10 project is going great. Yesterday we started reaming out, or I'm sorry, cleaning up the site and doing the gyro survey. I don't know if you recall, but when the conductor pipe was installed, there was a bit of concern that I expressed that we might be off, a degree, and a degree when you're going over a long distance might be too much and may cause problems with the installation of the well. So I asked the contractor to do a gyro survey of the conductor pipe itself. This is the top 60 feet of the conductor, and it turned out good. The deviation wasn't significant. There was a deviation, but it wasn't significant to cause us some issues or concern at this point. So that was completed yesterday, and they started with clearing out the backfill that they put inside the hole to keep it from collapsing on itself during the period where we wait for materials and stuff to come in. This afternoon, as a matter of fact, they started on the reaming process, and that's anticipated to last until Saturday. Based upon how the pilot hole went, we should anticipate delay, so I'm estimating early next week. When we did the pilot survey, or the pilot hole, it went over by a couple days. There was some mechanical failure that was involved, so I'm estimating a few more days than what they're anticipating.
Joe, what's a reaming process?
The reaming process is, so you have a 17-inch pilot hole, so they have this drill bit that goes down and makes a pilot hole 17 inches approximately wide. And the reaming process to get to our desired width or our desired pipe size, they go down with larger and larger drill bits, and they ream out the hole. They make it bigger. So after the reaming process is done, the contractor will begin on the well construction. We'll put down the casing, the screen, everything, and then we'll backfill around it with that gravel pack. So everything is currently ahead of schedule, which is great. This is unfamiliar territory that we're in right now, and it feels good, but there's potential for things to roll over. The current anticipated date for everything to be done is May 1st. So that means the construction of well 5 and the completion of well 10 drilling. And then we get into the structure around the well, which I'll be coming in a few council meetings to ask for your acceptance of the plan specifications and the estimate, engineer's estimate, and authorization to advertise the project for competitive bidding. So that's about it on well 10. We are done with the C Street sewer project. That went really quick, much quicker than we had anticipated. The contractor got in there, got things done. They will have to return on Friday to put in permanent striping and signage on the pavement, and then they'll have to return sometime in May timeframe to install the lids over the manholes. So we require a specialized lid for our sewer and storm drain. It mimics the city's logo or the city's image. So that's a unique characteristic to our city. So we're kind of proud of it, and we made them reproduce those. So they're actually, I think they're imported from India, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a long lead time on that one. So none of the signing and striping and the lids, the new lids, won't require any closures more than 30 minutes. So it'll be more or less a rolling closure when they do the signing and striping this Friday. So we're out of it. Any questions?
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Moving on to the street maintenance report, over the last 2 weeks, the Public Works crew has been able to continue with pothole filling. So the week that we had the council meeting, which was February 24th, there were 178 potholes filled. And this past week, we had 120. There sometimes are fluctuations because we have other projects that take priority, such as like main water line breaks and so on. And so staff is still doing an outstanding job on juggling those and making sure that we're making progress. So the total year-to-date potholes that we've been able to fill since January to current, we are at 786 potholes. And then just remind the community that we are in the process of publishing our spring newsletter. We're just wrapping up the last details. And just remind everyone to please sign up to our newsletter to keep updated with everything that's happening behind the scenes. We have a lot of projects, and we're just providing updates. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes, thank you, Edgar. A question on the potholes. Are they basically all over the city, or is there a particular concentration?
They're all
certain
over the
blocks?
city, and so
Okay.
staff is like selecting the areas and moving along. And one of the things that, we've been having internal discussions, this first round seems a lot because we haven't proactively been doing that, but I feel like once we've covered all the areas, it'll just be more of a maintenance, after storms, just doing a quick checkup, or, if we receive a report from a constituent going out there. We do anticipate that it's going to last longer because we're no longer doing the temporary filling now that we have the new equipment. And so when I provide you via email those updates, that's why I reference the actual locations that have taken place. I am working with Angel, our senior management analyst, so that when we publish the new newsletter, it will contain that information so that the residents know the areas that have been covered and also the total number of potholes that we've been able to fill.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? No? All right, then that brings us to our adjournment. So I will adjourn this meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting on March 24th at 6:30 here at Central City Hall.